a big welcome to Shireen Mansouri, who is a med doctor. And obviously she will say more about her own self and how she got into this beautiful kind of like platform on international, as well as her life as a doctor, because when you say doctor, people think you're just a GP or something, but no, you're more than that. You're holistic as well. And we'd love to know a little bit about you as well as the topic that you're presenting today. So off to you, Shireen. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. Thank you for being here and joining. And so as Hayat already said, I'm a doctor. I have specialized in plastic and aesthetic surgery and hand surgery. This is what we do in Germany, both of it, reconstructive and aesthetic and hand surgery, as well as burn surgery. And while during my career, things happened that I started to become more curious to know more about why things happen, why things don't happen. And I had so many questions which popped up and which now were just standing in front of me because, you know, there was quite a routine in my everyday life and I had space to think about, so what about this? What about that? And I got introduced to holistic medicine due to communication. So I've learned more about communication, about hypnotherapy, about energy medicine. And that's why I have a very holistic approach, not only to health, but of course to beauty too. And as nutrition is a very important part, not only for our healthy body, but also for people who want to be beautiful, who would like to be comfortable or like to love their body and feel pretty. I think this is a beautiful topic. I'm not a very good slide person, but I've prepared just a little bit. And as I have learned, now we have an Ayurvedic doctor. I love that. And I won't go so deep into nutrition. I would like to go more into starting what is the life that we are living and how come that we that we eat. So I got some questions and I would invite you to just respond. So let's get some interaction and communication. So if you like to write into the chats, why do we eat? There's so many reasons why do we eat, but why do we eat? If we want to become more aware and want to realize or want to learn about healthy food, I think it's a very interesting introductory question to ask. Why do we eat food? Also, because we want to socialize, because out of habit, Keith, because out of pleasure. So this is very important to realize. So we're not only eating fuel to feed our body. The next question is, what exactly does our body needs? So when we only focus for now, for this moment, on the fact that our body, we eat, first of all, because, you know, we want to give our body the energy, or I'm going to point out why I say that, energy or the nutrition is, so what exactly does our body need? Do we know that? Are we aware of it? What is it that our body needs exactly from the food? When we eat our bread, or when we eat a cake, or when we eat some fruit or some meat, what is it exactly? And don't worry, I'm not expecting any biochemistry and expertise answers. I'm speaking here on a layman's level, because what I want is I want to use our common sense to get to more awareness of food. Nutrients, yes. Okay, perfect. We eat food because our instinct tells us what kind of nutrients we need. Massimo, I love that. And definitely once we are, or if we are connected to our body and we can have a communication with our body, I would like to explain it that way. Our body tells us what we need or gives us an idea. And nutrients says Hayat, yes. So our body definitely needs water, which you might not connect with food, of course, but in food, we also have liquid and water is very, very important, as 60% of our body and 70% of our brain is made of liquid and water. And then we need nutrients, right? We need different kind of vitamins, spore elements, etc., which we get out of the food. And depending on what kind of food we eat, there is more in it or even less. We need everything in right proportions. Yes, protein, carbo, water, fat. I totally agree with all of you. Maintenance of body, mind, and health. There's the Ayurvedic doctor speaking. And I'm happy that you're here in this. Okay, right, perfect. So you already have a knowledge, and as I can see by your answers, you are quite aware of what we eat or why we eat. So do we need the same food every day? That's another question, because I think, as I can read by your answers, you know that we do not need the same food every day. And it depends, because our body's changing constantly. And depending on our environment and what we live, our body needs different kind of food. So this is, I think Ashok can say a lot about that, because this is the space of Ayurvedic food and medicine. I won't go into that, but perhaps later on we can have that, I can have a look at that. So I want to go back to reality. How does reality look like? And I've taken time to get some beautiful pictures out of Pixabay. And as we know, I think most of us live in an environment and in a society where we have such an abundance of food. It doesn't matter if we go into a supermarket, or if you go into a cafe, or if you're going into a restaurant. So wherever we go, and I think it's like everywhere, food is everywhere. And so the reality is that we have the impression, and please let me know if you don't agree with me, but we have the impression that we our body needs more food than, like, no, we have the impression that we need a lot of food. That's what I want to say. Because if you look at the supermarkets and all that's there, and you go to a restaurant, you go to a cafe, you do that, you go out in the evening, you go into a pub and you want to drink something. So, there's a lot of things that you get the impression that you need that food. And what I think most of us here know is we don't really need that much. But the question is, how does it look like to go and sit in it? Because I was thinking about that when I started learning about more awareness about food and intuitive eating. The question is, how does it look like if I want to meet a friend and I'm going into a cafe and I will only drink water? How does that look like? If there's a cafe and you've got sweets or you've got salads, etc., etc. And or the other thing, you go into a fancy restaurant and usually, you ask for the entrance, you ask for the main plate, and then you ask for some sweet, or even these star restaurants where you have like 15 different kind of dishes who come along with some intermediate food. So it is somehow we are involved, we are in a society where we really have to become aware of it to get to separate what we want from what society is used to what society is used to teach us or show us, or what the unspoken laws of social behavior is. Because as we said before, most of us, I think, we live in cultures where meeting with friends, with family, having a beautiful dish and abundance of food and sharing that is something which is so important. And if we are honest and we become aware and really are, while we're sitting with our friends and family, in our body and are connected with our body, most of the food we would not eat, because we are already full. We don't need it. Our body doesn't need it. Our body doesn't need it. Our brain is already satisfied. And then we eat out of pleasure, or we eat, because, for example, I've invited the people. I cannot stop eating because people will stop eating. These cultural things that can happen. And so this is something I just wanted to mention, that it is so important to become aware of all these intersocial connections where we don't think we don't think that way, but subconsciously we do it, we live that way. And the next step I want to speak about is eating is often connected with emotions. I think Hayat wrote something. I'm not very good with speaking and looking at the chat, so I will look at the chat at the end, if that's okay for you. So eating is often connected with emotions. And when we are meeting with friends and family, this is already where the emotions start. We are happy, we are pleased, we want to share, we want to communicate, we want to sit all night long in the restaurant because the ambience is so beautiful. And, we can't sit there and not ask for something when all the plates are empty. And all these little emotions that are connected to eating. But there's even a way broader level of connection of food, eating habits, and emotions. So you can check for yourself. I think I can agree to almost everything. Like when I was in school, in high school, and I studied, I can remember very well every time I needed a pause and I needed a break, I stood up and I had a look into the refrigerator, seeing what can I eat. So it is like kind of using food as a pause. Or another situation, and it's different in people. So you have a fight with your friend or your boyfriend or your father or your mother, or whoever, some dear person to you, and then you feel really shitty. And some people stop eating, which is also emotional connected. And some people start eating like, they're castigating themselves, they're torturing themselves. Of course, it's all subconsciously. So happy emotions, negative emotions, sad emotions, angry emotions, any kind of emotion that you can imagine and that we as human beings are able to feel are or can be connected with food. And I think it all starts becoming aware of it, observing us. So why am I eating right now? Or why do I want to eat? And if we go the next step further, because I didn't write it in any slide, about the addiction, the food habits. So if we have emotional stress all the time, so it could be a habit that every time we are emotionally stressed or we feel lonely or we don't feel loved, we feel empty, we go and eat something. Or like we already said, out of pleasure, but also out of, I did a good job. Today I'm going to eat a cake. Today I'm going to eat 2 balls of ice cream. And it is not that you're hungry for the ice cream. It is just because you want to do yourself something good. And this is again connected with emotions. So I would say 95% of why we eat is out of emotions. So we should really allow ourselves to have a look at it and also feel comfortable with it. Do not, make myself false. Oh, again, you're nervous, and then you went back to the refrigerator and you ate something. But being aware of it and observing ourselves and realizing, oh, okay, so this is how it is. And I would like later on even to speak about how we can change that. So as I already said, we have learned patterns. So we've learned to eat. And I would even like to go a little bit further back into our past tense, because perhaps most of you know that learned patterns, habits is something that we have learned. And even eating and our relationship to food, and I have to mention it, to our body as a plastic surgeon, our relationship to the food and also to our body, our appearance, is something that we have learned in our childhood. So if we have parents who are very sportive and really take care of their workout, of their body, we might learn that this is the way we have to be. But it could also happen that we have parents who are very sportive and very aware, and they want us to do workout, and they kind of make us do workout, and we don't want it as children, that we even get adversity, so we reject working out and moving. So as you already realized, it's food is connected with movement, with working out, with just moving your body, enjoying to move your body, but also with your body itself, the form, the way you feel comfortable in your body, and that you love your body and your appearance. So if you grow up in a family, for example, in my family, my mom, I think she was always on diet. So, and then it was like, she was like on diet. She was like, I have to lose weight. And my dad, who was not, he had his belly too, but, he didn't care about his belly, but he was like, didn't you want to lose weight? You have to lose weight and don't eat so much, so you won't gain weight. So you learn the way from our parents or the, peer groups or whoever, how to take care of your body, or you learn as a child, not being aware of it, that, it is normal to be on a diet for a woman, or, it is normal that you go like, oh, I'm too fat, I have that, I don't like my body. So this is something that we have learned. So we really also have learned what healthy food is. We have learned what is not healthy. So I know that there are parents, out of unawareness, I'm not judging them, who give their children Coca-Cola and all these sweet things. So a child who grows up with Coca-Cola from a small age, for that child, Coca-Cola is, is liquid. It is something you take. They are not aware of it, what it is or what it is not. So what I want to say, that we have learned quite a lot in our childhood, and that's also worth it to have a look at, especially if you want to go and get the roots. But also, as I said prior to about the peer groups, so young teenagers, for example, when they hang out with their friends, where sometimes it happens, that they start with, I want to be skinny. There was this area of Kate Moss where all the models were very skinny. Fortunately, this is changing right now. But, and then they learn from their peer groups what is beautiful and what is good. And then they start just to reach that aim, that beauty, that ideal beauty. They start changing their food habits, their eating habits, just to reach that. So that's also something. I mean, young children, they are not aware of most of them are not aware of what is healthy and what is not healthy. They only see, I want to be skinny. Okay, then I just leave the food. And let's go back that food is energy, and that as we already said, that if we only think or look about what we need, our body needs to get the nutrients and the energy. Again, I say the energy because we as human beings, we are energy. So it is, I think, less the energy that we need out of the food, like in the context that most of the people understand, but really the nutrients. But then again, as food is energy, as a piece of meat, that meat that you eat is energy, a vegetable is energy. Again, having a look at that, it makes sense to take care of what kind of food we eat. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, I am very neutral towards that, and I'm not the person who's going to give advices on what to eat, because I truly believe in that your body needs things at a different time, and it depends in what balance your body is. But I really like to have a look at the food awareness, and I think that's why we meet here together, to become aware of what kind of food do I eat. I am a strong believer, I think Haya too, that it makes a big difference if you buy meat from the supermarket, from animals who are stored all together, or if you buy meat from a happy cow, you know, who had his space and who had a beautiful living and perhaps a beautiful ritual to find its ending, and etc., etc. So I think that is very, very important. And again, I would like to mention that too, as fruits have water and a lot of food has liquid. So again, as water also has not only is energy, but also saves energy, the energy of emotions of the people who, for example, work in the fabric and do the food, or the emotions of that animal who died, or the emotions of that person who's drinking the sip of water and is happy or not happy. It is also something to take care of. So I have been very, very general because first of all, I'm not a nutritionist, and I don't like to tell people what to eat. I prefer supporting people in realizing what they need individual and in that moment. And also, as you know, I'm a hypnotherapist, and habits is something which I really love to have a look at. I love to support people in changing their habits, in realizing how their habits are and what habits they would like to have to feel aligned with their unique life. So I think I would like to leave it with that. I will have a look at the chat, and I'm very open to questions or